All right, Jamal Finkley, Black Tree TV. Hi, Enrico. Hi, Andrea. Andrea.
I know it's a pretty name, Andrea. That's how I say
it. First, I love Luca. I love the story that's talking of xenophobia or homophobia, or whatever describes people that are just scared of other people. And I love the way that story was weaved. I thought it was like brilliantly done. I really was impressed by the movie. So was my daughter. How does it feel when you do these stories that's talking to what we're dealing with in society, but saying it in a way that kids and adults can understand without having to, process it in a debate,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so glad you felt all those things. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, we felt like we were all going through this social changes. Everything it was so part of this movie. Strangely, the pandemic, everything. When it came down to, at first this was just about a friendship, but we realized there was always within the story the fact that there's two factions and that they don't understand each other, they're afraid of each other. And the interesting puzzle was to figure out how to make those two stories work together, because it's a story just about one friend helping the other, seeing the other person, challenging him. That was a bit what I experienced as a kid. But then quickly we realized that the reason they're sea monsters, the reason why having the sea monsterness was interesting is that at that age, we, in one way or the other, feel out of place or feel odd in our own skin. And right, so there was something that we realized, well, actually, it's kind of universal in many different ways that we can feel insecure about ourselves. And then we realized, okay, well, the heart of this certainly has this wonderful, like, here I am, I need to, thanks to the friends around me, see myself, accept myself, and here world deal with it, kind of like let the chips fall where they may. So it was really about trying to make sure that people could bring their own experience to it. I hope the challenge was leaving it open again enough that we can, as an audience, feel for Luca in our own different ways. But I will say that moment for me, it's encapsulated when we talked about toward the end of the movie. There's a moment where a mother is worried about her son going out into the world. It's a dangerous world, and the grandma is saying, "Well, yeah, there are people that'll never accept them, but I think he knows how to find the good ones," right? So that to me became a really, really important line that we carefully talked about, because like it would be so, pat and wrong to say everybody loves him now and happy ending and it's over. So that encapsulated so much for me in a way of like, well, friendship, curiosity for each other, and hopefully bridge fears for that some of these factions have for each other. So even Massimo, for example, was this guy who was very entrenched, was the father of Julia, as this opportunity to get to know these kids. And now he can't hate them anymore. He can't fear them anymore. So I'm glad you picked up on it. It was just the orchestrating. How do they fit together? Are we being honest with it? And can it be read in all, somewhat different ways, but with that like putting yourself out there and accepting yourself?
Excellent answer. This question is for both of you guys, because I know that all movie making is a collaborative sport, but it seems like, and I've visited Pixar's campus, that when making an animated movie, there's so many players in a team that make that happen. And when I look at both of you guys, kind of resume or IMDb, I know that you started in the animation department and doing background artist, Enrico, and then you went to art department doing storyboard before you wrote and directed La Luna. But does it take that to be a director in animation, to being in all of those positions in animation, to be able to direct it, to understand the whole process? Or I know other movie makers could kind of be directors without having to have been a cameraman or whatever, so forth? I mean, in animation, do you feel that you need to?
Yeah, I feel like there's two answers to it. One is actually, I don't think so. One is actually, I don't think so. But there are a lot of steps to, you don't have to know everything, because you will have amazing collaborators. I didn't know plenty. And then that was part of the process of like owning up to that, and like together we're going to make actually a better movie than even if I knew everything, because I treasure collaboration that way, and growth and learning, right? So there's a lot that you can learn on it. But I will say that when I talk to students, I'm like, well, for example, if your goal is to get a job at Pixar, that's a great dream. But I wouldn't hold that to be like, oh, I'm not getting any. I'm waiting for that to drop, because my history, I studied engineering and I was doing the wrong thing. Then I started studying arts. Then I got, you put the foot in the door, and I was the thing about designing props or background was just like, that's all I could get. And I learned on the job. So I do feel that there are steps along the way, and that often on the actual job, you learn so much. So I wouldn't say you need everything, but I'll say the other side of this is that make your own thing, because you can be the director of your own little comic. You can be the director of your own little phone shot film. That is the wonderful freedom. And honestly, even in my career, making something that was my own, I was the side project that I was doing for fun. Those end up sometimes giving you the breaks you need to go forward in your career.
And Andrea, just as a woman, and Enrico as Italian minority, like how do we get more people that's different to get these opportunities? Like, are there other programs where they could learn so that the game continues to be more diverse? I know y'all have Yates and y'all have Frank Abney and other people that's there, but like, how do we continue to grow the under opportunity people that people that they could be in these seats?
The underdogs. It's like the well, I think it comes from a bit of just being aware of some of the realities, and I think it comes from pulling talent and people forward wherever we see it, and being willing to look in all corners for it, and erase, what can be some of the barriers to it. I think, it can be a simple thing like, looking at resumes blind, making sure, you're just truly looking at talent and the voice of that person. So I think it's something that has to be adjusted for. But I also think that, it's interesting in your last question, because as a observer to the director role, I would say that, it's just getting out there and making stuff and putting yourself forward. And I think for all of us, representing, for me, looking out for women, I look out for how girls and women are represented in our films, really trying to steer away from tropes. But you're right, it takes people representing all these different angles to really have that perspective and to look out for it. So I think it's really important to bring it in. There's so much to hear from each other, but I think it has to be deliberate is really, I think, what I want to say. And we have to find it. And I think for everybody up and coming, we have to remove obstacles and get rid of the Brunos in the, the negative voices, and just go for it.
Yeah. Well, take care.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.